Good evening and welcome to episode 17 of the Jacksonian. As I have with me is the one and only John D'Animo, co-host of Michigan Football at the Voice of College Football and the host of the Voice of College Football original, the Ocho. And tonight it's going to be a great show and we're going to be talking a lot about the 2023 edition of the game, our take on what's going on with the coaching staff, the alleged sign stealing allegations,
Sure.
how Michigan has a unlikely ally. Burr. That's gonna be fun for sure.
Absolute Jackson. It's great to be here, and yeah, this is for all the marbles. Mikey Sanders still said this week. This is the Big Ten championship game, and basically a playoff game. And 11-0 versus 11-0. All the emotion, all the off the field stuff. This is it, man.
Oh man, it's fun having you, man, and I tell the audience a little bit about.
About myself, so my name is John D'Adamo. If those of you who, a lot of you are here actually, I think from the Voice of College Football community, and we appreciate that. So I host multiple shows on the Voice of College Football. We've got the Michigan Wolverines live show, which we do every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. A lot of you just came from that. Then on Saturdays, we have Michigan Post Game Live with Dre Artis. And on Monday nights, we have Big Ten Live, the Ocho, which is the second 2-hour block on the Big Ten Live at the Voice of College Football main site. So, yep, lots going on, and obviously really excited to talk the game.
Oh, it is fun. Listen, and speaking of the devil, that's what we're gonna start the show with. The 2023 edition of the game. What is your
Yep.
take on it so far? And can Michigan get the job done for the third straight year?
Yes. Yeah, I think they can. I think that so Michigan's favored by, I believe, 3 or 3.5 right now at the Big House. It's happening at the Big House. If you look at it just from a macro level, obviously Michigan has proven that they could do it the last 2 years. This year around, obviously there are special circumstances. Jim Harbaugh is not going to be coaching on the sidelines. It'll be Sharon Moore, the offensive coordinator and offensive line coach, is going to be the interim head coach for the game. Jim Harbaugh is able to coach practices, but he cannot be at the venue on the day. So it'll be Sharon Moore. And so, with that said, I do think that Michigan can get it done. They have some key impact players. Obviously, J.J. McCarthy, one of the best quarterbacks in the Big Ten, if not the best. Roman Wilson is a deep threat. You've got the three-headed monster now with Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards, and Khalil Mullings in the running game. Offensive line is still good, although I don't think it's as good as last year, especially at right tackle. We've been having some issues at right tackle, but you've still got a really good O-line and the best scoring defense in the entire country. So with all that said, and then on the other side with Ohio State, they're taking a dip at quarterback. I think even the most diehard Buckeyes will agree that with CJ Stroud now lighting it up at the NFL and potentially winning the division if all goes their way, he made an impact on the Texans' first year out in the NFL. Kyle McCord is not CJ Stroud. He does still have one of the best wide receivers we've ever seen. He does still have a good tight end and a Mecca Igbukah and a run game, but he himself is a big dip from CJ Stroud. And I think that might be the different. I think what Michigan lacks in O-line versus last year, and if they've taken any dip at run game, I think that's counteracted by the fact that Ohio State's quarterback situation's taken a dip as well.
And I can't help but notice when looking over the stats that the key to victory is the red zone offense. Michigan is 50th in red zone offense. Ohio State is 60th in the red zone offense. Will those numbers get better on Saturday? Because I got a feeling they will be.
Yeah. Yeah, keep in mind that both Michigan and Ohio State have been playing opponents that aren't necessarily the highest caliber opponents, with the exception of Penn State. And with Ohio State, you might be able to say Notre Dame, although they're not as good as I think what we thought that they would be. But yeah, I mean, Michigan's mostly played teams called Indiana and teams called Purdue. I think there's no running away from. I think there's no running away from the fact that the red zone. Obviously, the red zone offense and defense. Yeah, it's gonna I think improve because Ohio State's gonna have to play a Michigan offense that has a really good quarterback. Skill position players all over the field, and vice versa. I mean, Michigan's going to have to deal with Ohio State's offense. So, yeah, I think those numbers will improve.
Yeah, I mean, I had this weird feeling that both teams were just kind of saving each other the best for last. So that's kind of like what I was thinking.
Yeah, apparently, let's see. Apparently, there's Darth Vader going on in the audio. What?
Oh, I see.
Are we
I see
good?
Mike Forts in the chat. Help! Someone stole my ranch. Did it go Darth Vader for else?
Yeah, let us know if you hear audio issues.
That's for sure. But I will say, and thank you for tuning in, everybody. And I see Michigan versus Worlds on the chat. Moose gave a sub. Thank you for the subscription, Moose. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's fun, seeing what's going on this year. But there is some sad stuff going on, some not so good stuff. The allegations going on, the alleged sign stealing. I mean, Chris Partridge resigned, and we saw that Harbaugh got the 3-game suspension. That's the second time he's been suspended. So, what's going to happen? Like, I know Harbaugh, if Michigan clinches the East Division, they will be in the Big Ten title, no doubt, and Harbaugh is going to be back. But what's going to happen with Harbaugh? Is he going to leave after 2023? Is he staying? What's the plan for Michigan? I know I read something that they're going to do a contract with Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Still. But what's your take on this?
Okay. So obviously, we've been following this the last couple of weeks since things broke out. I don't know if we want to do the whole story and whole scenario, but the bottom line is Jim Harbaugh has been dealing with the NCAA, and he's kind of been a thorn in the NCAA's side since satellite camps way back in 2015-16.
Oh.
So this has been kind of a pissing match that's been going on almost his entire tenure. And I think that they want nothing more than for him to go to the Raiders or go to the NFL in some capacity. Folks, this is a sport that lives in the gray area. And I challenge you to find a team that isn't doing something to try to gain an edge. Now, maybe they're better at it than Michigan was, but sign stealing is all over the place. I think that the media putting such an enormous deal on this, I think, was because they saw this as their chance to get a sports Emmy. They saw it as their chance to get clicks and to get ratings. But when you actually dig deep at what actually happened, one guy, Connor Stallions, seemed to be a very dedicated individual, maybe a little too dedicated. Decided to purchase tickets in his own name and orchestrated this, whatever you want to call it, sign acquisitions, allegedly sign acquisitions, and what we know so far is that he purchased tickets in his own name. We know that there's a workbook out there with where people are supposed to go, amounts, things like that. But at the end of the day, this comes down to iPhone footage, and is that really is filming iPhone footage when the NCAA themselves admitted when they considered overturning 11-6-1 a few years ago, they themselves said there are all of these third-party ways to get film and third-party scouting and third-party things that you can do, and it's literally written right there when they debated getting rid of that bylaw. So this all comes down to a bylaw that the NCAA themselves debated getting rid of. At the end of the day, let's get radios in the headsets, and then all of this is moot, because then everybody's going to have radio, and everybody will have a one offensive player, one defensive player with a radio in the headset, and yeah, I think this whole thing's been blown. And I know that, any Ohio State people in here are going to say I've got the maize and blue glasses on. And, you're right. But even if I stand back and I just look at it on the whole, and I also see that Ohio State and Purdue and Rutgers allegedly colluded to get Michigan signs, and Ohio State tries to get Michigan signs all the time. And, it's just, in my mind, should Connor Stalions get punished, or should Michigan get punished for his actions to some extent, especially if he was on the sidelines against CMU? Yes. But I don't see vacated wins. I don't see postseason bans. I don't think any of that's going to happen, honestly. If it does, I'd say that's honestly pretty unfair, given the fact that it's so widespread what Michigan is doing. So as far as Jim Harbaugh and what's going to happen there, we don't know yet. I did a show a few months ago called on Michigan. It was called The Last Dance, because I believe that with everything going on with the NCAA, and also it's been 8 years, it may be time for Harbaugh to go back to the NFL. But then we heard reports of this contract extension, and they decided to punt on it for now. But Isaiah Hull told me a couple of days ago, Isaiah Hull from Wolverines Wire USA Today was saying that he sees it still happening, but it might be happening in the offseason that the extension will happen. I still think there's a possibility he goes to the Raiders, because it's a great opportunity in terms of brand new stadium, Allegiant Stadium. He's best friends with the owner. He'd probably be able to pick his own GM. He'd probably be able to pick his quarterback and he'd probably have the most control there out of anywhere in the NFL. So I really do think it comes down to Michigan or the Raiders.
Or maybe the Bears.
I just don't see the Bears willing to give him the control he's going to want. And also, I don't know if they'd be willing to match Michigan in paying him, because Michigan's probably going to offer something like $13 million a year.
Honestly, like, the Bears really should consider it. I mean, you're not going to win anything with Mr. Eberflus. And I think if Harbaugh became the head coach of the Bears, it would be similar to the 49ers, where, like, Alex Smith's career was on the downturn, but then Harbaugh came in and saved it. I think we could see the same thing with Justin Fields if Harbaugh became the head coach of the
I actually think Ryan Day might go to the Bears.
Oh, wow.
Because think about it. You're Ryan Day. These crazy Ohio State fans calling for your job because you lost two Big Ten games in your whole career. Yeah, they were both to Michigan, but that's next level stupidity. Next level stupidity. Because I was on the Buckeye podcast that day, and I saw it was 60-40 in favor of calling for Ryan Day's job. And I understand that people are being emotional and they don't like to lose to Michigan.
Right.
but that's going to intensify if Ohio State and I think Ohio State's likely to lose to Michigan. So then, if I'm Ryan Day, I look at Texas A&M and I look at the Bears and see, and try to get a better situation where, because at the Bears, if he goes 10 wins at the Bears, they're going to have a freaking parade.
Oh yeah.
If he goes 10 or 11 wins at Texas A&M, they'll be happy because they're going 8 or 9 usually, and they don't like being like a 7, 8, 9 win team. Losing one game isn't going to cause death threats. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, if I'm Ryan Day and I lose this game on Saturday, I'm looking at the Bears. I'm looking at Texas A&M.
Yeah,
because the fans are just. I think their expectations are too high.
Oh yeah.
Expectations are too
Well,
high.
I mean, do they really think Ryan Day is like the Nets' John Cooper? Because he's nowhere near John Cooper. Because I mean, Cooper did okay, but his one downfall was his record against Michigan. And one of the 2 times where he was able to beat Michigan, he couldn't get the job done against Coach Saban at Michigan State in 1998. That's what's funny about it. So, I mean,
yeah, Cooper had a lot of kind of questionable seasons, and it's nowhere near the same. Like Ryan Day has lost 2 big games since he started coaching at Ohio State. John Cooper had way more than that. John Cooper in that sphere of time. He was a great recruiter. Sphere of time. He was a great recruiter. But I don't even think it's close. I don't even think it's close. I think those comparisons are absurd. Like he went to the playoff last year, almost beat Georgia. This year he might be going to the playoff again, or at the very least he'll face Louisville in the Orange Bowl, and probably go 12-1. What? 12-1? Like almost any other school would kill for that. Almost any other school would kill for that. And the standards are but this is Ohio State, and the standards are higher. And it gets old. I think it gets old after a while.
Speaking of Ryan Day, if Sherrone Moore and the Michigan Wolverines were to beat Ohio State this Saturday, are you ready to say that Sherrone Moore is the next Ryan Day? Whereas, like, if Harbaugh leaves, Sherrone Moore is your next head coach at Michigan.
No. I think he should be a candidate, but it's Michigan, and you conduct a national search. And when Jed Fish is potentially available, you can't completely no. I think Sherrone Moore will be a candidate, but I think Jed Fish. For those who don't remember, Jed Fish was a pivotal part of Michigan's offense in 2015 and 16. He was the quarterbacks coach, I believe, the wide receivers coach, and when he left, and it was down to Drevno and Pep Hamilton, the offense suffered severely. Then we go to the Arizona tenure where he goes from a one-win team, and now they're winning all these football. He's a really good football coach, and if Michigan can get him, I think that we should try.
Well, it's definitely gonna be fun to see what happens, but I'm impressed with them, especially with that win over Penn State. And I figured Michigan would beat Maryland. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of getting some 2022 Michigan-Illinois vibe. What was your take on last week's Michigan-Maryland?
Yeah. So there's a lot. I think that the biggest there are a couple of takeaways, and we talked about it a bit on the Michigan Wolverines live show just now with Tanner Wooten from Blue 90. The number one thing is that the play calling was very vanilla. I only noticed one. There might have been a couple other perimeter runs, but really the main perimeter run was that Samaj Morgan run on the outside, which did go for a touchdown. right? But for the most part, Michigan was calling runs up the middle. They were calling basic tight end routes. There was one route to Roman Wilson, which he caught, but then got injured. And then there was the Cornelius Johnson route that was very similar to the Ohio State one. And JJ slightly underthrew it, so Cornelius wasn't able to catch it. But honestly, I think that JJ was working through something, and they had a very limited playbook against Maryland. By the way, Michigan had a very limited playbook against Maryland. By the way, Michigan had a very limited playbook against Illinois, too. I think Ohio State might win. And everybody was saying, oh, I think Ohio State might win this year. And then they come out the next week and just punch Ohio State in the mouth. They go to Columbus and plant the flag. Huge routes to Cornelius Johnson, which then opened up the run game for Donovan Edwards to do its thing, because Ohio State had to adjust their defense and keep more guys back. So there's not as many in the box. And then that opens up your run, because you don't have as many stopping Donovan Edwards. So I think it'll be very similar in that front, where we're saving a lot of playbook for Ohio State. JJ was working through something. And you can't, like, Maryland's also not a bad team. You know full well Jackson Talia is probably the second best quarterback in the Big Ten. He's very, very good. And he showed it. He had some lights out plays. He also had some mistakes, because with Talia giveth and Talia taketh away. So he had some really good stats, game and really touchdowns and everything else. But he also had touchdowns and everything else. But he's still one of the best quarterbacks that Michigan's going to face all year, including in the playoff. If we get to the playoff. And so I think that was a factor. Josh Gaddis knows our scheme. Josh Gaddis was obviously the offensive coordinator at Michigan in 2021, and so he knew how to scheme plays to beat Michigan's defense to an extent. So I think all of those were factors. But I truly believe if Michigan wanted to, they could have won that game by more. There were plays that we didn't call that we could have if we had to. If Michigan had started losing, if Maryland had taken the lead, we probably would have busted out some plays that we were saving for Ohio State. But yeah, I mean, Maryland made Michigan sweat, and Blake Corum said it best. We probably needed a game like that.
I will say I'm excited to see what Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards bring out this Saturday. It's going to be fun watching them. And I will say, I don't know if I mentioned it earlier in this show tonight, but what did you think when watching the Rich Eisen show last Thursday when Bill Burr was giving defense to Jim Harbaugh when he called it ticky-tack allegation?
Yeah, so, and let us know, guys, we're getting some more comments about the settings and audio. I don't really know why, because it's the same setup I had before, and it was fine. But anyway, the Bill Burr. Bill Burr obviously is from, Bill Burr's also a Patriots. Obviously is from Bill Burr's also a Patriots fan, so I think he's got a special place in his heart for these types of scandals and like defending the team that's part of them, and I think that's one of the reasons. But like he made the same point that I made to start this show, Jackson, which is it's not that big of a deal. Most teams are stealing to some extent. And to penalize Harbaugh like this, it does seem much. It seems like a lot. So I think Bill Burr and the Patriots side of it, in defending Michigan there.
Oh man, that was pretty fun when I saw him like defending. I thought that was pretty cool that he was defending Harbaugh, but I also love that he was just kind of going at Patriots fans. And I will say that's quite a debate on what's going to happen with Bill Belichick, which You can check out in the chat episode 16 of the Jacksonian with Mike Debate, host of Locked On Patriots and lead reporter for Patriots Country from Fan Nation. But yeah,
There you go.
so what's the good, the bad, and the ugly for this year? Now, I have a feeling one of the good parts about this year is that win over UNLV, which, I mean, it looked like just another crappy win and all that. It was just another win against a crappy opponent from the group of five. But UNLV's only lost one game since, and they're leading the Mount West now. Will that help your resume if things go wrong this Saturday?
Will the UNLV game help our resume? No. I think if we lose on Saturday, we're out. And I think the same is the case with Ohio State. If whoever is the loser of the game will be playing Louisville. So I don't see the UNLV game mattering. Maybe if it's like a razor thin game, like a 1 point game with maybe a last second field goal kick, that might change things a bit. But that's about it. I think whoever wins is in the playoff, and whoever loses is playing Louisville.
Unless we see a lot of chaos, especially in Pac-12
True.
country, because you never know what happens. Go. Mike Fort was talking about UNLV. They beat Air Force in Colorado Springs. Air Force was ranked for a while. It should, but people just hate the group of five comparison.
Yeah, I mean, UNLV. I know that they're 9 wins. I mean, UNLV. I know that they're 9 wins, but impact the decision. I don't think that's going to impact the decision making much. I think. I think. Whoever wins is in. The CFP already said that they weren't going to take into account the sign gate stuff because they were going to let the NCAA handle that. So yeah, it's basically you win, you're in, just like last year. The difference between this and last year is we didn't have this many 11-0 teams last year. Ohio State benefited from a weak final group, and Bama would have been in, except they have 2 losses. One loss Bama gets in over Ohio State, so they got lucky.
Oh man, one loss Ohio State and one loss Bama. That would have been quite a commotion for sure.
Yeah, well, and even 2 loss Bama. Nick Saban was on the halftime show begging to be on the playoff.
Oh man,
that became a meme.
Oh man, that was. I bet we're gonna see something like that happen. We're gonna see somebody that's like the coach of the number 5 team begging to get on the halftime show. Scott Van Pelt on yes.
Yeah. But let me answer the good, bad, and the ugly, and what I think is good, bad, and ugly. So, from a good perspective, 78% returning production. Michigan, this team is built to win it all. This team, with the amount of seniors and super seniors on this team, with the fact that Blake Corum decided to come back, the fact that Cornelius decided to come back, and Roman Wilson decided to come back, and the guards, and you name it, Michael Barrett, and all these players decided to come back, and they didn't have to. Chris Jenkins could have gone to the NFL, I believe. I could be wrong. But, most of the players I just rattled off decided to come back for another year through the 1 more year fund. So I'd say that's a good. J.J. McCarthy's a good, too. He's probably the best quarterback Michigan has had. At the very least, since at Chad Henne. And probably, I mean, I don't think it's a complete exaggeration to say he's the best quarterback Michigan's ever had. You can make a case for Tom Harmon back in the 40s. But yeah, there weren't that many at the level of what JJ McCarthy is doing in the present day game for Michigan. So I think that all of that's good. Bad, there's not a lot. Right tackle. Right tackle has been a question mark. Secondary somewhat has been a question mark. Um, Donovan Edwards hasn't quite been himself, but he's started to bring it back in recent weeks. And ugly, I'd say, would be this whole all the off the field stuff that Michigan's had to deal with. I don't think it's. I actually think in some ways that they've turned that into a strength, though, because now everybody from the president onto the AD, onto the head coach, onto everybody on the staff is in lockstep and kind of the closest that they've ever been as a program. So um, it's been a tough season from that perspective, but I think almost any other school would still love to be where Michigan is right now. Only 3 losses since 2021 started. That's not a bad place to be.
Well, I have noticed that the one negative that's gotten to Harbaugh is the lack of victories in the New Year's Six Bowl. What's going to change? What's got to change it?
Wait, sorry, what's got to change for?
Harbaugh lack of victories in the New Year's Six Bowl, Michigan. What's got to change?
So everybody made fun of the beat Georgia drill announcement that Michigan was doing this beat Georgia drill, and everybody said, "Oh well, you got to beat TCU first." Okay, let's understand that Michigan, um, at the start of 2021, imposed beat Ohio drills so that instead of focusing on Ohio State just for 6 days, now they're focusing on Ohio State year round. This offseason, they started doing beat Georgia drills. What that really means is let's have time during the season to look at the teams we're going to be facing in the playoff, like Georgia, like Alabama, like FSU, like Oregon, and so they've been taking time now every week to prep for the postseason, so that when it actually comes, they have a foot in the right direction. That's what they weren't doing before. And so I think that that's going to help. Is it going to be enough to beat Georgia? I mean, Georgia's looking pretty damn good right now. They have a better quarterbacks. People called me crazy for saying I thought they improved their quarterback situation, and then it turned out they did improve their quarterback situation. Carson Beck is better than Stetson Bennett. I'm sorry, he is. And they still have a great defense, and they still have the best tight end in football. They're going to be a real challenge for any team, including Alabama, including Oregon. They're going to be tough for anybody. So, so I'm glad we instituted those drills, and people can make fun of it all they want. We did it for Ohio State, and then we started beating Ohio. We're doing it for Georgia, and hopefully that'll help us beat Georgia.
Well, and it says on the chat that from Moose that I've reached 250 subs. I am only halfway to 500 subs. Thank you guys so much for giving me the 250 subs, and I couldn't have done this without your help. I'm halfway to 500, and I'm 1/4 of the way to 1,000. That's gonna be awesome. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for tuning in to another awesome episode of the Jacksonian. We are making sure that you get nothing but the awesome content that you get from this channel, like like the little quick recaps I do on some of the college football games and some of the NFL games, and just random takes of me running my mouth here. And most importantly, you get the honor of getting to see some of the best clips from the Jacksonian and this great 17 episode.
It's true. It's true. You bring on some great guests, and it's pretty impressive the type of people that you have on these. So really cool.
Appreciate it, John, and I will say it's another fun show. Plus, we get cool voiceovers. I love that. Mike Fort, you are awesome. He's fun.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks to Wolverine Nation for coming by and supporting.
But thank you guys so much for tuning in. It is a blast. Oh man, where did I go? So I do know that it's gonna be a blast seeing the other Big Ten game,
Yeah,
Iowa, Nebraska. Can't help but feel that Nebraska's in not Nebraska. Iowa's in look ahead for the Big Ten title game, but Nebraska's looking to clinch bowl eligibility at Iowa's expense. What do you think about that game?
yeah. Oh, geez, I don't know. Yeah, Iowa seems to finally have a quarterback, so that helps. Deacon Hill's looking pretty good. They just clinched the Big Ten West. It's a tough one. I mean, I think Iowa's going to win, but I could be wrong. Nebraska, seems to be not quite there. They've improved from last year, but that was a low bar. Scott Frost had that team in some type of way. Not very physical, much more of a finesse team as well. And Matt Rule instituted tackle drills right away. You can tackle the quarterback now in practice and that kind of stuff. And just tried to bring back the physicality of old school Nebraska that had gotten lost. And I don't know. I think Iowa's defense is just too much for whoever's quarterbacking Nebraska now. Is it Chubba Purdy or Heinrich Harburg? I don't even know. But whoever it is,
Jeff
I think
Sims. Good grief.
I think Iowa's defense is going to be too much for Nebraska. I think that's going to be the what seals it.
I will say though, I can't believe that we're having two Big Ten games on Black Friday. That's going to be amazing right there. I mean, I know that Penn State, Michigan State is not exciting as it was in past years, but the fact that we're
Yeah,
seeing like a Big Ten football game on nighttime on
yeah,
NBC and on Black Friday, that's amazing right there. This is a big deal.
absolutely. Yep. Everybody's going to be having their turkey sandwiches and enjoying some football.
Nothing like having some Thanksgiving leftovers and watching some Black Friday football game. I mean, and there's another first. We'll see an NFL game. That'll be fun.
Yeah, the Lions versus Packers.
No, Dolphins, Jets. Sorry, Al
Oh,
Michaels. You have to call another crappy game.
oh. When's Lion? I thought Lions and
Lions, Packers is on Fox. Cowboys, Commanders
that's
are
what
on
it is. Okay,
CBS. And 49ers, Seahawks are on NBC or on the Peacock app.
got it. Okay, that's the one for Thanksgiving. Lions Packers. Okay, I knew that there was one on Thanksgiving. So yeah, no, that'll be a good one. But yeah, man, no, I appreciate you having me on. This is a good time.
Oh, thank you for coming on, man. It's an honor having you on. And I will say though about like Black Friday, I didn't realize this till I was 15 or 16 years old.
Yeah,
But I thought Black Friday was just a holiday where you just get to watch football, and I didn't know it was a shopping day.
it's a shopping. Yeah, it's all about shopping. I guess. Yeah.
Not for me. It's a
You've never done the 5:30 a.m. Walmart run.
Well,
That used to be
I
Yeah, that
heard
used to be a big thing.
beef. I heard people were like pepper spraying somebody's
Yeah.
kid over like
Yeah,
good
people knock each
God.
other over for a freaking 60-inch TV. It's yeah, I went one time because my ex girlfriend was like, I want to go to Walmart for Black Friday, and I was like, really? Do we have to? This was years ago, and we went, and it was crazy. Although not as crazy as what I've seen on clips and on the news. And now it's all on Amazon anyway, so it's like you don't even need to leave your house anymore.
Yeah. Plus, there's always Cyber Mondays. I usually don't shop on Amazon all that much. I only shop online.
Yeah. Well, if you do your shopping on Amazon, use the Voice of College Football link.
I plan to. I plan. It is the
Yeah.
#1 college football network for me.
There it is, Mark Rogers, Voice of College Football. And so I do 3 shows usually, which are so obviously tonight I did Michigan Wolverines live. So go back and you can listen to today's show with Tanner Wooten from Blue by 90. So that's Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. The next show I'm doing will be Saturday, which will be after the game with Dre Artis, Michigan Post Game Live. And Monday nights, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern, including a lot of times with you, Jackson, we have the Ocho as part of Big Ten Live, the Voice of College Football, and we break down the Big Ten matchups that are happening.
It's always fun discussing latest week in all college football. And I will say though, week 11, it looked like a very sloppy week, which basically told me, okay, we got ups.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. And I predict. I'm sure there will be more uncertain, like more craziness this weekend. And I think all I can say to everybody is grab your turkey, grab your stuffing, grab your mashed potatoes, and let's enjoy some football.
That is for sure. And we got some chats going on. Moose lights up Black
Moose.
Friday and Cyber Monday. Yeah, I've seen fights, lol. Mike Rotunda says, yeah, as a kid, I think of Barry Sanders running around all day. Moose says, it gets nuts on Black Friday. My mom is a Amazon shopaholic. I, I, I forgot this guy's name, but he's a comedian. But I remember where he was like talking about when Amazon got made. He was like,
Yeah.
screw you, Amazon. Now my wife's buying everything from there. There's a package
Yeah,
every
it
day at
can
my
get.
doorstep.
I know. Yeah, that's what happened in 2020. Is when everybody was working from home, you started to notice all the packages from Amazon coming in.
Oh, man. And Moose says, I'm off to eat dinner, guys. Good night. You have a good night and sleep well, Moose. Stay safe and stay warm. It's cold out. As we wrap up this show, for those who
Yeah.
would like to talk with you about Michigan or take on what's going on, where do they find you besides the football, the Voice of College Football, and at the
Yeah. So you can find me on Twix, as Moose calls it, John at John Diadamo on Twix. Um, on Threads, on Instagram. It's J.A. Diadamo. I'm around. You can find me. I'm on the Discord chats. We have our Jacksonian Discord. We have Voice of College Football Discord. You can find me pretty easily if you wanted to.
Sure. And it's always a blast talking with you. And I
Likewise.
will and we'll say, if you like this content, like, comment, subscribe to at Jackson Johnson 979 so you can get some more clips, more amazing content from episodes of the Jacksonian, other video clips that I do. Until next time, this is Jackson Johnson, host of the Jacksonian, wishing you a good night Sleep well, stay safe, stay warm, and a happy Thanksgiving.
And go
Okay.
blue.
And a roll tide. Here we go.